From the bright colouring, you might think that this is an exotic foreign damselfly. If you're a dragonfly enthusiast, you will recognise the holy grail of damselflies breeding in Britain. The immature female Scarce Blue-tailed Damselfly. The gorgeous colours of the Aurantiaca phase will only last a week or so. Scarce Blue-tails start to emerge from their larvae at the end of May or beginning of June, and this, in my opinion, is the best time to look for Aurantiaca, even though the flight season lasts through to early September. Despite the bright colours, this is an enigmatic phase, which only the lucky or persistent will find. The newly emerged autumnal damselfly is much paler, with reflective wings. The deeper shade of orange appears on the abdomen first, and this spreads onto the thorax. There are a couple of pretenders, of course. There are 5 different female forms of blue-tailed damselfly. This is the immature form rufescens, with a pinkish thorax and blue tail. She matures into this browner form, Rufescens obsoleta. Possibly closer in appearance to Aurantiaca, she now has a brown tail, which is less conspicuous than the blue one. The thorax is browner. But both forms lack the vibrancy delivered by the Scarce Blue-tail. As the name suggests, this is a rare damsel in the UK, localised due to its habitat requirements. The field guides say that these are open areas, subject to a degree of disturbance, with shallow water and sparse vegetation. Quarries with seepages are perfect, where wheel ruts might provide a home for larvae. Strongholds are in the south and west of the UK, with a scattering throughout Ireland. The colony near me is miles from the accepted range, perhaps indicating how good they are at dispersing once the habitat becomes overgrown and unsuitable. My local site is grazed by ponies and contains variable amounts of vegetation. Areas with more vegetation can be good places to look for Aurantiaca. However, the general openness and shallow water is apparent everywhere. The warmth provided by shallow water is thought to be important, even in transient sites, which will become too overgrown. Scarce blue-tails are found throughout the site, even at the shallow end of this nearby pond. A mature female is far less eye-catching, with cryptic green and black colouring. The black on top of the thorax fades through brown, becoming green on the sides. There is no suggestion of a coloured tail, either blue or brown, at the end of the abdomen. Transitional phases are obviously required to complete the transformation from the bright youngster. Here, just a hint of green has appeared on the abdomen. And now, a more obvious start to the change. The green then creeps onto the thorax. Females going through this colour change might already be pursued by males with mating in mind. It is not known whether she can store sperm until her eggs mature. When this couple disengage, they remain together or in tandem before flying to a new perch. It is more usual, of course, to find mature females mating. Many species can remove a rival's sperm before depositing their own. Scarce blue-tails might maintain this position for more than 90 minutes while sperm is passed to the female. As with all dragons and damsels, males produce sperm at the tip of the abdomen. Just prior to mating, they transfer this to their secondary genitalia, situated at the other end of the abdomen, near the thorax. Using claspers at his abdomen's tip, a male damsel grasps a female's pronotum, just behind her head. The pronotum is a shield-like plate covering the prothorax. It is shaped to allow a firm grip only to the same species male. The top of the male's last abdominal segment is shaped to fit the female's pronotum, and the scarce blue-tail has two small hook-shaped claspers to grip it. Dragons have a much reduced pronotum, so the head itself is held. These are southern migrant hawkers, a relatively new species to breed in Britain. The male's lower clasper fits neatly between the female's eyes, whilst the two lower claspers locate under the eyes. Again, the shape of the claspers is specific to individual species. The female raises her abdomen tip to engage with the male's secondary genitalia. The wheel is formed, unique to dragons and damsels. The male's secondary genitalia produce a slight bulge at the top of the abdomen. You can see the opening here just after mating. During copulation, the male's penis emerges from this opening to penetrate the female. The action takes place either close to or just above the water. This pair remained almost motionless for the last 20 minutes. Then some slight movement from the male, followed by some head twisting by the female, and they uncoupled, with his penis still protruding. He flew almost immediately. Unlike many damsels, the females oviposit alone. The green and black colouring is ideal camouflage for egg laying, and you can see her ovipositor probing the base of emergent stems. Eggs hatch after 2 to 3 weeks, and larvae generally develop within a year, emerging as damselflies just above the water's surface. There is always time for a quick wash and brush up. However, some females carry a silty deposit on their abdomens after ovipositing. Males spend much time perched just above the water. There are a few reasons for taking flight. This one appears to be hunting, picking small insects from the vegetation around it. Clashes with other males are generally inconsequential. They travel further searching for females, investigating any damsels they encounter. Although the claspers are designed for attachment to its own species' pronotum, this male has managed, mistakenly, to grip an unwilling female azure damselfly. Their cryptic colouring helps female scarce blue-tails hide in plain sight near the water, and are easily overlooked by passing males, and us. You will have noticed that males are totally different in appearance from females, with blue and black colouring. There is a bright blue triangular eye spot behind each eye and 2 narrow blue shoulder stripes on top of the thorax. The rear edge of the pronotum has a gentler curve to that found on the blue-tailed damselfly. The small black line on the side of the thorax may or may not end in a dot. The undersides of the eyes are blue or green, and the fronts of the legs are white. They have the blue tail, which is closer to the tip of the abdomen than it is on the more common blue-tailed damselfly, which is often found on the same site. The bicolour pterostigma on the forewing is shorter and squarer than that on the blue-tailed damselfly. Dragons and damsels both have 10 segments in their abdomens. The scarce bluetail has blue covering all of segment 9, only spilling onto segment 8. Compare this with the larger blue-tailed damselfly, where the blue neatly covers the whole of segment 8. This is by far the easiest way to distinguish the two. There can be small amounts of black within the blue at the tip of the tail. This varies from barely noticeable to quite extensive. And this individual has a broad black line between segments 8 and 9. There is already a hint of the blue tail on a teneral male. As with the female, the wings are slightly opaque and highly reflective. The overall colouring is subdued and pale. As the wings harden, the body colour becomes yellow and the blacks develop. The eye spots are already blue, and there are tiny patches of blue at the wing bases. The colour of the thorax becomes more turquoise, and the blue of the eye spots strengthens. The blue tail is starting to take on colour, though the claspers are still very pale. This blue strengthens, and the thorax becomes greener. Eventually, the classic immature male has a solid blue tail with a green thorax and eyes. This individual has more blue than usual on segment 8. Then, the mature insect is all blue with black. Some show a greying to the shoulder stripes. I'm not sure whether this is an indication of old age. With space above the water, flicking the abdomen between the wings is the preferred method of keeping clean. Dragons and damsels are carnivorous, and, in general, scarce bluetails take smaller prey. However, this individual caught one of the moths flying around it, consuming the feast with a certain rapidity. And this male couldn't resist the bugs on the dead stem. The larger blue-tailed damselfly is notorious for taking larger prey. Unfortunately, this one appears to be tucking into a newly emerged scarce bluetail.